Hey YouTube, it's D with D's Custom Garage. We're in the shop again finally. We're gonna work on my Dodge here. The roof's rusted out up there. It's been like that for a while. I've just been kind of milking it along on our trips and stuff, covering it in Gorilla Tape, but I realized on the way back from one of our last trips that it was time to get something done on it. So that's what we're fixing to do. I'm going to start cutting this skin off. I'll show you the rusty spots and stuff. One of the things that I've learned from doing a bunch of this over the years is don't use spray foam in your bodywork. And unfortunately, this roof, besides the fact that it had a bad wrap on it, I think at one time that leaked water. I don't know that for a fact, but I can see a line where it looked like there was a seam. And also, it looked like the roof had been worked on before because it's got base coat, clear coat paint on it, and the rest of the truck was single stage, and that's usually a telltale sign. So I'm going to show you the rest and then get to cutting this roof off. So I'll bring you right back. As you can see, the roof is pretty rough right there. It has sustained quite a bit of damage. You can probably see right there some of the spray foam and stuff that's in there and the rot. I've got a whole nother roof that I'm fixing to put on this thing, or roof skin anyway. That way we can get this repaired correctly, or as correct as I can get it anyway. And we're gonna get this thing fixed up and back on the road and back on the trails. Starting to think this ain't even sheet metal. This whole front might just be body filler. That is a mess. Yeah, it's nothing but fiberglass and rust and who knows what. Don't do this to your vehicles. Find somebody that can fix the rust correctly. Unless it's just a piece of junk and you're just trying to get by. Now, I understand in those situations, but if it's still a good vehicle, try to get it. I mean, it's not, welding isn't that bad to learn. It's always a good skill to have. My glasses are fogging up. But yeah, this is nothing but spray foam and junk. Junk. J-U-N-K. Junk. But we're gonna make it better. But I understand this was a farm truck, and sometimes people do what they gotta do. Although, as much as base coat, clear coat paint costs, especially in your colors of red, I think I'd try to do something a little better. Who knows? But here's the spray foam. Don't put that stuff in your vehicles. Because here's the thing, it works in your house, but in your house it's going to stay dry and it's not going to soak up water. In vehicles, even if you've got the whole roof sealed, the one thing that vehicles have that's different than a house is they sit outside. When they sit outside, with the temperature changes, the condensation builds up inside some of the body panels sometimes. And when they build up like that, this stuff soaks it up and just traps it. And then you end up rusting it out. I realize they make marine grade versions of these. I have not experienced using them. I'm not going to put spray foam in some junk and make some junk like this if I can help it. I would if it was a piece of junk gambler car or something like that I was going to crush or something, but even then I still don't think I'd want to do that if I could help it. So, but one thing as you're learning, but this isn't going to work. The only time I see the spray foam being acceptable is if you're trying to make a new panel. I have seen spray foam used to fill in a gap where you didn't have the sheet metal before, and then you shave it off and then you make a pattern after that and shape your sheet metal and everything, then you pull the spray foam out and then weld your sheet metal in. I've seen that done, and that's okay because it's just a temporary thing. But don't do this to your vehicles. I mean, this is my finger I'm jamming into it. I mean, it's teetotal junk. Junk. J-U-N-K. Junk. So, in fact, I might get a screwdriver and dig this out. I don't even think I got to cut it. I think it's just going to come out. At least it looks like it's about sheet metal from here back. Not that you can probably see it, but I'm going to get the rest of this cut out, and then we'll start on the next part. Alright, you can see where I started to cut right there. I'm cutting above my line, and I'm just going to trim down with some snips or something. But I don't know how well you can see this, but that's my line I've drawn on there. And I'm fixing to slice that off. Alright, now that I'm covered in body filler dust and everything, we're going to see if we can peel this up a little bit. I think I've got it loose enough. Hopefully I do anyway. Can see what surprises are underneath it. It's a new kind of chopping here. New kind of chop top. Chop the top right off. Good thing is I could use that sheet metal. Well, I don't know. I could use it to patch something, but yeah, it's inner skin actually looks pretty good. This is going to go in the scrap pile, or at least the patch file. This section here's pretty good shape. Looks like they did have some kind of a closed cell foam right there, probably to keep it from rattling. I'll probably leave that in there. That's probably factory, I imagine, and it's probably safe to use. This stuff up here though, this is all getting ripped out, and yeah, it's going to get all thrown away. Hopefully any of the secondary structure there that's bad, the other roof luckily I hope has all that's good, and we'll replace that. But I'm going to get the rest of this cleaned up here, and then we'll get to the other roof. She's kind of crusty, kind of like a burnt potato chip up here. This part here, I was hoping this part wasn't that bad, but it looks like I'm going to have to put a patch panel on the inside right here, because that is crusty. It's my finger goes through right there. I don't know if you can see that. Kind of see my finger in there. That is crusty like old potato chips. That is no bueno. No bueno. So looks like I'm gonna have to take this inner structure up here at the front out. Hopefully the other one's good and not messed up. And once I get that out, I'm gonna have to make a patch for this out of the other one, and then I'll go from there. I may reevaluate this program a little bit. I really didn't want to pull the window glass out of it yet because I was just trying to hurry up and get this done, but it might almost be faster if I cut the whole roof off and just weld the other roof on at the windshield posts in the rear back there. So, because these A-pillars would be a lot easier to cut through and weld up than trying to do all this work. But I'm gonna evaluate what I feel like doing and then go from there. It's pretty rough right along in there. You can see that's real bad right there. Hey YouTube. Well, we're back. It's Thursday, and we're back working on the truck again. I believe I'm going to step back and kind of punt on a little bit of this project. Originally, I was just going to try to replace the roof skin on the top, but as bad as the rust is up here, I'm pretty sure it's just going to continue to rust on the inside. So I've looked at my parts truck roof that I got off, and I think I'm just going to try to put that whole roof on, which means I'm going to have to cut these posts and cut the whole top off, which is in a way a little more work, but then at the same time probably a little bit less. I'm gonna have to remove the windshield and the back glass, of course, to get room to weld on everything and cut on everything. But since I won't be welding all the way across anything, I'll just be welding the posts. I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit quicker, and I'm not pulling the doors off or anything either. So I guess what we're going to do first is try to get this windshield out, and then I'll try to get the back glass out, which kind of sucks because I just put that back glass in and now I've got to take it back out again. But we're going to get this knocked out. All right, this is the donor roof. It's pretty solid. I put a magnet across the front side to make sure we didn't have a bunch of rust and Bondo and stuff in here, and it seems pretty solid. The magnet stuck really well, so I don't have to hopefully worry too much. Had a bunch of primer and some thick, what almost looks like bed liner stuff and spots sprayed up here, but I took a piece of sandpaper, sanded it off, and you can see right here a little bit. All right, you can see right here that I've sanded down, and you can see some of the sheet metal, and it looks pretty good. There's a ding up here at the top right here that I'll have to fix, but I'll fix that after the roof's on the truck. And the bottom of this just so happens to be red like my other one, so that's pretty good. I gotta clean off that old insulation. I have the headliner out of the truck originally, so I can put it in here. So the only difference is this truck has a spot for a cargo light, and I don't have the cargo light wiring in the truck, so I'm not sure how that'll work, but I may just take it off and shave it. But hopefully, unfortunately I cut it a little short on the posts when I cut it out of the donor truck, because I originally thought I was just using the skin, and so I'm probably gonna have to do something about that. I'll probably have to try and square up the ends that I did cut off and hopefully get that figured out, and so I can get it welded up whenever it comes time to put this on. All right, I got the back glass out in one piece without destroying it, so we got that out finally, and I didn't even tear up the seal, so I can reuse that seal. So we got all the glass out that I'm going to take out. I'm leaving the doors alone because I don't really want to mess with the hinges, so I'll do that if I have to. All right, I accidentally took my safety glasses in, so I guess we're using face shield. Face shield's probably safer anyway. I'm going to cut above the line because just in case I didn't get it quite right on my pattern, I got some where I can trim down to where I need to be. That way I can get it dialed in pretty well, hopefully. Good thing for rock sliders. side cut loose. Alright, let me get you set up on the other side. We're going to cut the other side loose, and then we'll take this roof off. Alright, slice this side off. It's the make it or break it point now. In my case, I just broke it. Alright, now the fun begins. We'll lift this roof off and set it in the bed, and we get to see how bad I screwed up. Last time when I was at the junkyard, the truck that I got that out of didn't have any seats in it, and so I stood in the inside and just lifted it straight up and set it into the bed. This one, I can't quite do that because I didn't take the seat out. But I think I can still manhandle it over. Hopefully I don't smack myself in the head with it. There we go. Now I have a convertible. It's usually at this point that most people get squeamish when they see their vehicles cut up. Doesn't bother me any, but this is the point where a lot of people back out, I've found. I'm gonna get this roof unloaded. I'm gonna get the other one brought over here. I know it's not gonna fit right off the bat because I cut these long on purpose. That way I can trim everything down to meet it where it needs to be. So let me get this done and I'll bring you right back. Alright, this new roof, I'm fixing to cut this section here off, and that way it'll be similar to this roof here, so hopefully it'll fit kind of okay up there for our first test fit. I've got to do this on both sides, cut it in the same place as I did there, so we're going to get to cutting. Alright, for this first test fit, it's probably not going to fit right, I can already tell, but we just need to see where we need to cut and grind down and everything, so we're going to throw it up there so we can see what it looks like. Alright, see if I can not destroy stuff. Alright, we've got it set up there. It still needs some tweaking to be perfect on there because it is far from that. But let's see if we can do some measuring. Let's see how far exactly we are off. This is supposed to be about 22 and a half. And we are at 22 3/4. So we're about 1/4 inch off on this side, which I anticipated, because there's a lot more metal on that side and this side than there was before. Yeah, it's about 22 7/8. So, alright. I'm pretty close on the A pillars, but I definitely need to take some off the B pillars, or the rear posts, as people like to call it. So, I'm going to trim that down. I'm going to spare you all the boring part of me trimming down to my line. But I'm going to get that trimmed down, and so the roof will be set up here. That way I can get ready to put some clamps on it and everything, so it'll start to look like a truck again. I've got the roof welded back on, but I'm having to kind of get to a stopping point right now because I need this truck back. I've got to pull a trailer with it, and so I'm having to put it back together even though I'm not actually finished with all the body work. Sorry about all the crap on the hood up here, but I've still got to put some seam sealer in around the roof up here. These Dodges, the roofs aren't really fitted together very well, it looks like, and they've got some big gaps that the factory just, I guess, packed seam sealer into. I've chipped most all of it out, and so I'm going to replace it and try to seal it back up so hopefully this roof doesn't rust out like the other one did. I know this one may have some rust possibly inside of it just because of the age and everything like that, but so far it looks pretty good. So I've already primed and threw some spray paint on it. I found some spray paint. It's not this one. Oh, I left it over there. I found some spray paint at Walmart of all places. It's called Colonial Red that actually kind of matches the red on this truck. So I went ahead and kind of sprayed over it. That way it'd have something on it for right now until I can do the finished body work and everything on the truck. And once I get all that taken care of, then we'll probably get it all painted up. I've actually got some other paint that I wanted to paint the truck, which is a lighter shade of red. It's kind of a brighter, but like a suede. So we'll see if I get to that or not. But I'll show you around what we did on the truck and where we're at right now. All right. As you can see, the paint's kind of drying. I've still got some glue I got to clean off from the old residue, but you see I've got it welded up. I don't know. It looks decent. It really needs some finish work. Probably with some body filler or something like that. Just a little bit in a couple of spots, like somewhere around in here, but it's not too bad. But this roof was originally seam sealed all the way across up there, and there's like just really big gaps in there that where the panels came together that I don't know. This is the new roof and it had it, and my old roof had it too that was on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and redo that once this paint dries, and then that way I can do another coat of paint over the top of the seam sealer, and then we can get the windshield back in. So let's see, let's go over here. But the door jamb looks pretty good. I got it all welded up and looking pretty decent. So I got the roof up there, so it's getting kind of hard to tell that I did anything. Now, I didn't finish the body work here. It's pretty smooth, but there is some dips and divots and stuff right through here that I decided, this being an off-road truck, I wasn't going to try to finish it completely out like I would maybe like a street rod or a custom car or something, but I figure it'll work for now. That way I can get this thing on the road because I need to be able to drive this truck pretty soon. So I've got to take a trip out to Dallas to pick up some new equipment. So, but yeah, it's getting there. Like this gap here, this is one of those gaps I'm talking about. I chipped the seam sealer out and look at that. That is a huge gap. So part of me wanted to weld it up, but I still wanted the factory seam. And so I decided instead of welding it up, since I've still got body work back here and I'll have to sand all this off that I sprayed on it, I went ahead and just decided to chip that out, and then I'll re-seam seal that. And then whenever I get time to do the body work sometime in the future, I'll pull it back out. It was pretty easy to do with a pick, so I'm not too worried about it. So, and I've got another seat that I'm not going to show you today because I've got it locked up in another truck and it'd be a pain in the butt to get out, but I've got another seat for the front, and I'm probably going to pull the carpet out because all this stuff is pretty disgusting in this truck. So that was part of the reason why I didn't even pull the interior all the way out, because I was planning on replacing it and the seats already tore all up anyway. I don't know if you can see it there, but I'm not going to throw the seat away because it is a good seat. It just needs to be reupholstered, and if I could find the factory upholstery for the middle of this easily, I probably would replace it, but the seat's not super comfortable the way it is now. So, and I've got a seat with a fold down armrest that I think will work in here if I take this track off. So But I'll have to do some welding and stuff to use these tracks because I think the other seat's out of like a Chevrolet or something. Or it might be out of a newer Dodge. I can't remember. But I've still got to clean everything up and get this thing back together. All right, we're going to let all this paint and stuff dry on here, and hopefully I can get it set up where I can get the seam sealed stuff that needs to be seam sealed, get it done. And then once we get all that done, I can get the windshield in because I really need to get the glass in this truck. I've got to get this truck back on the road. I wanted to take a little more time with it than what I have, but when you got to have something, you got to have something. So, and I've got a new piece of equipment, I hope, coming. We'll find out when we head out to Dallas. So, all right, I'll bring you back. I'm in the process of putting the back glass back in it. I'm letting some seam sealer dry up here on the front of where the windshield goes, and I got to sand some down on that I kind of made a mess with. So while we're waiting on that to dry, I decided to go ahead and rope this back glass in. I've already started on it. The bottom, I always set mine in the bottom first on these type, and so I already did that. And I've got this side here. You can see the rope here. I'm just using some cheap paracord from Walmart. I bought some cotton string, but it was too thin, and I was afraid it would destroy the rubber. And so this paracord seemed to work all right. It doesn't stretch, or it doesn't seem to anyway. So hopefully I can get all this roped in, and we'll get it back in the truck. So that way all I've got to do is try and get this windshield in. So this windshield's probably going to be a pain in the butt being as I'm doing it by myself. So we'll see when I get to that point. So put my light up here. Maybe. That's probably in the way. All right. And I'm using some foaming spray cleaner to try and kind of help as I rope this in here, to kind of help lubricate the seal and help it get over the lip. And then I'm taking a little rubber mallet and kind of tapping the rubber down carefully so I don't break the glass. Normally you don't have to do that, but sometimes this stuff's a pain in the butt. It doesn't want to fit otherwise. Especially when you're doing everything yourself. There we go. Pull her up in there. And I've already had this back glass with this rubber on it in and out of this truck at least 2 or 3 times. And it always seems to seal off, so I'm not putting any kind of sealer or anything like that on it. If it leaks, I'll go back and do it, but so far I haven't had any problems out of it. So, and luckily the new roof, everything's fitting so far with the new roof, so we'll see how it goes once I get to this other side. I'll figure out what I did with my spray. There we go. And you definitely want to knock yourself in the head with your light. That helps. But you definitely want to be careful pulling the rope, because if you pull too hard, you might tear the rubber gasket. So you got to be mindful of that. Well, the back glass is in there. It's dirty. Needs to be cleaned up. It's pretty much in there. I need to kind of push up on the rubber here in the middle, get it seated a little bit better, but it definitely is looking like a truck now. The back window in. If I can get that windshield in, I'll be ready to drive this dude. All right, we're back in the shop. I am fixing to try and put this windshield in by myself. We're gonna find out if I break it or not. So we're gonna try to stick this in here. Maybe a disaster, may not, but you know, that's how it goes. Um, I've already kind of half fit the rubber seal to the opening, and it seems to fit all right, which I hope means that my sheet metal works at least kind of close to where it needed to be. I measured it and everything, and the measurements seem to be right compared to the original top that was on it. So I think it'll work all right, but I'm gonna try to clean this glass up with some glass cleaner, and I've got some of the foaming style glass cleaner. That's what I've used before on installing glass, and it seems to work pretty good. It lubricates the seal and everything as you're installing it. So we're gonna do that, and I guess get after it and see if I can get this thing in here. Maybe we can drive this thing this afternoon. And I am by no means a professional at this at all. I just know enough to be dangerous, I guess you could say. You definitely want to be careful with it being glass. Super easy to break, because I broke a lot of windshields doing stupid stuff usually. But glass up here kind of close to. And there you go, it's in. Ta-da! Pretty hot out here, but I'm starting to get the windshield in. I had to kind of backtrack a little bit, and I actually installed a rope around the top. I got the bottom part in, and so I'm going to do kind of a rope trick around this part, and use my little tools to put it in. It seems to work. I've already got that side started over there, so we're going to see how well this side works. I'm not nice and hot and sweaty now, but the windshield's in the truck. I had some camera issues when I was putting the whatever you call this, the lock ring or whatever, in there. But the windshield's in the truck. I did the best I could with what I had. I'm probably going to have to reseal part of it, but it should be good enough for me to drive the truck tomorrow. It's not supposed to rain, so we should be good there. But I don't normally like doing things twice, but it's what I got to do to get things done sometimes. So I'll show you around. I kind of got it put back together a little bit, and you'll see how it all is. All right, you can see the weather stripping. Got it. I don't really like this corner right here, but I don't know that there's much I can do about that. It's just the way the weather stripping's designed. I might can put some sealer behind it and kind of puff that out a little bit. But and down here in this corner here, not super crazy about that. But I remember with the old seal, it didn't fit quite right here anyway, so it's not too bad. It looks a whole lot better than it did though. So, and no rust. As you can see, I kind of half put the interior back in it a little bit. I don't have all like the doorpost pieces back in it and everything, but I just put, you know, the main things I needed, like the sun visors and stuff, but kind of half clean the dash and everything up. It's not too bad. I've got other seats and stuff I want to put in here, so hopefully when I get to all that, we'll get this changed out here. Hopefully the seat that I've got, it's got a fold down armrest, and I'm gonna set it up with some cup holders and stuff like that, so I don't have to run around with that plastic thing in there. But we got the back glass in. I need to get some window tint on that, but looks a lot better than it did. A lot less messed up looking. One of the next projects is going to be getting the headliner put in. I bought some cool looking fabric that I think will look good up there. That's part of the reason why I don't have all this other trim back in it yet. It's because I want to get that done next. So, but I got some of my stuff loaded up. So back glass, I don't have the locking ring in it, but I drove around for a while without it before, so I am going to try to put that in, but I'm not worried about it right now. The back glass held in at 70 mile an hour and 80 mile an hour speeds. It should be fine for right now, so I'll get that done when I get back. So I got some of my stuff loaded up. All right, well, this is pretty much the end of this episode. Check out my other videos. I'll probably have some shorts and stuff that I'll put out too, but I've got other projects on this truck plus some other stuff going on that'll be in the future, so check those out. Check my other videos out, and we'll see you next time.